Our Tennessee state standard is to apply the Pythagorean theorem to determine unknown side lengths in right triangles in real-world and mathematical problems in 2 and 3 dimensions. Your lesson objective that you need to write down is to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the missing side of a right triangle. So you'll need to pause the video and write that down. Now, yesterday we worked with Unifix cubes, and also we did a foldable that showed the proof of a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. So the proof for a right triangle. The right triangle is made up of a right angle, as signified by this square in the corner. The right angle is formed by the legs of the triangle, and then the side directly opposite of the right angle is the hypotenuse, and that is your longest side. So we know from what we learned yesterday that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, it doesn't matter which of the legs you put as a and which you put as b. What matters is that your hypotenuse is always c. So for this first example, we would do 4 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. And we know that 4 squared is 16, 3 squared is 9, equals c squared. 16 plus 9 equals c squared. And this is modeling the work I expect to see on your practice assignments. So 16 plus 9 is 25 equals c squared. And to be able to get c by itself, I have to do the opposite of raising it to the second power, and I actually have to take the square root. So if I take the square root of both sides, that would give me c equals, and the square root of 25 is 5. So c equals 5. All right, for this one, I'm going to work up here. 5 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. Well, 5 squared is 25. 7 squared is 49 equals c squared. And then I add 25 and 49, so 9 and 5 is 14, carry a 1, 2 and 4 is 6, 7. So c squared equals 74, and I'm not going to make you work this out. You can use a calculator to find the square root of 74. Now, I know it's going to be somewhere in between 8 and 9, but we're going to round this to 2 places. So if I take the square root of 74, c equals 8.60 or 8.6. So c equals 8.6. All right, here's another example. We have one leg is 8 feet and one leg is 6 feet. We're trying to find our hypotenuse c. So we have 8 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. So 64 plus 36 is equal to c squared. And if I add those, I get 100. 100 equals c squared. If I take the square root of both of those, I get c equals 10. A helicopter rose vertically 300 meters and then flew west 400 meters. How far was the helicopter from its starting point? And you can see I've given you a hint. Draw a picture. Never discount the advantage that drawing a picture will give you. So we rose vertically 300. Sorry. And then we flew west 400. And we want to know where we are from our starting point. So this is actually C. So we have 400 squared plus 300 squared equals C squared. All right, so when you square a number with zeros, you double the zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 squared is 16, plus 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, 3 squared is 9, equals C squared. And if we add these, 1, 2, 3, 4, we should get 250,000 equals C squared. And when we take the square root of that, we get C equals 500 meters. So C, this helicopter is 500 meters away from where it started. Mr. Parson wants to build a new banister for the staircase shown. If the rise is 5 feet and the run is 12 feet, then we need to know this. So this, once again, is our C. So we can do 5 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared. 5 squared is 25. 12 squared is 144. And if we add those together, that will give us 169 equals C squared. And are you seeing why I wanted you to memorize your perfect squares up through 15 squared? The square root of 169 is 13. So C, the length of the banister, is 13. All right, a painter positions a 20-foot ladder against a house so that the base of the ladder is 4 feet from the house. About how high does the ladder reach on the side of the house? And normally in class, I have you get your answer and put your head down. So this is one of the disadvantages of doing a lesson video. You're actually going to see me draw the picture out to show how to solve this. So here's the side of our house. Here's the ladder leaned up against the house. And it says a 20-foot ladder. Well, this is the house, and this is the house, side of the house, and this is the ground, and this is the ladder. So we know that the ladder is 20 feet. That's our C. And we place it 4 feet from the house, so the ground, that's 4 feet. So now I still know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared, but right now I'm missing A or B. I'm missing this leg. We'll make that A. So A squared plus the ground, 4 squared, equals the ladder, 20 squared. So A squared plus 16 equals 20 squared is 400. We're going to subtract 16. We get A squared equals 384 if we take the square root of 384. We get A equals 19.6 feet. So the answer to this would be C. And if you did not draw a picture and know that they gave you C, you would work this out and you would end up getting D, because without the picture, you would say 4 squared plus 20 squared. But there's no way that a 20-foot ladder can reach 20.4 feet up the side of the house. So sometimes we will be given the hypotenuse and we will have to find the legs. So when you're given the hypotenuse, you can use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but you can also use c squared minus a squared equals b squared. Either one will work. So here we have a television screen that's listed as being 32 inches. This is the diagonal distance. So it's from corner to corner. That's my hypotenuse. So this is C. If the screen measures 12 inches in height, so in height, how wide is it? Well, since they give us C, we can do 32 squared minus 12 squared equals b squared or a squared. So 32 squared is 1,024. 12 squared is 144 equals b squared. And if we subtract 1,024 minus 144, we get 880, which equals b squared. And when we take the square root of 880, we get 29.66, rounded to the nearest hundred. Oh, but it says the screen to the nearest inch. So we have to round this to 30 because it tells us to round to the nearest inch. Tom is afraid of heights above 9 feet. He is asked to repair a side of a high deck. The bottom of a ladder must be placed 6 feet from the deck. The ladder is 10 feet long. How far above the ground does the ladder touch the deck? And is Tom afraid of the height? Well, let's draw a picture. Here's our picture where the hypotenuse is our ladder. And we know that the hypotenuse, let's see, the ladder is 10 feet long, so the hypotenuse is 10. And it says that the bottom of the ladder must be placed 6 feet from the deck, so this distance is 6 feet. So I need to find out the height of this ladder. So we can say 10 squared, because that's our hypotenuse, minus 6 squared equals h squared, height squared, or b squared. So 100 minus 36 equals h squared. 100 minus 36 is 64 equals h squared. And if we take the square root, h, the height of that ladder, is 8 feet. So Tom would not be afraid of that height because it is not above the 9 feet. So our Tennessee state standard was to apply the Pythagorean theorem to determine unknown side lengths and right triangles in real world and mathematical problems in 2 and 3 dimensions. And our lesson objective was to be able to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the missing side of a right triangle. That missing side could be a leg or it could be the hypotenuse. And that's the end of today's lesson. Hope you guys are having a great time without me.